Good day. Corvus corax is in the background. Corvus corax, the raven, the world's largest songbird. Anyways, it's book review. The Plant Messiah by Carlos Magdalena. Adventures in search of the world's rarest species. This guy's an inspiration. Well, to me he was, or is. He has encouraged me to just keep going on and planting and cuttings and seeds. And here at the Gardens of Avalon, where the Corvus corax lives, we're doing a lot of plant work. There he is. This guy knew what he wanted to do when he was a little kid. He always loved water lilies. He loved being around water. He lived up near the mountains in northern Spain, and he lived on a finca, which means a farm or a little farm. They had an apartment in town, but they mostly lived up in the hills, so he just had a grand time. Anyways, it's about his time at Kew Gardens. He actually went to Kew Gardens and got a job and has been there ever since, and well, he's a lucky guy, but he applied himself, and that was the main thing. It's a book from Doubleday by scientist and botanical codebreaker who impassioned the memoir of saving extraordinary plants on the brink of distinction. Carlos Magdalena is not your average horticulturalist. He's a man on a mission to save the world's most endangered plants. First captivated by the flora of his native Spain, he has traveled to the remotest parts of the globe in search of exotic species. Renowned for his pioneering work, he has committed his life to protecting plants from man-made ecological destruction and thieves hunting for wealthy collectors. Yeah, send somebody else out to do your crimes for you, huh? In The Plant Messiah, Magdalena takes readers from the Amazon to the jungles of Mauritius to deep within the Australian outback in search of the rare and the vulnerable. Back in the lab, we watch as he develops groundbreaking left-field techniques for rescuing species from extinction, encourage them to propagate and thrive once again. Along the way, he offers moving, heartfelt stories about the secrets contained within these incredible organisms. Passionate and absorbing, The Plant Messiah is a tribute to the diversity of life on our planet and the importance of preserving it. Couldn't have said it better myself. This guy is incredible. He figured out I guess he got the last plant in the world that come from Mauritius, this Rosamina rodriguei. Grows on the Rodriguez Island in Reunion and Mauritius out in the Indian Ocean north of Madagascar. But he didn't go there first. He went first to Kew Gardens after he got out of school, and he did different various jobs, and he just knew he wanted to get in the plant world, and he just lucked into the Kew Gardens. And so while he was there doing his internship, they found out, well, we need a horticulturalist, so he applied. And to get in is kind of like being a cab driver for London. You got to know a lot of stuff. And so he memorized and badgered everybody to show him how to do cuttings and propagations, and got mentors and befriended a lot of people. And so he was a well-liked person. So then he was in the Palm House. He liked the tropicals and all. That's where he was working. But I guess that's where he got introduced to this Ramosmania. Anyways, he got thinking. Well, they said there's no way we just have to keep this one species going because there's no seeds. But dioecious where you have male and female plants, he noticed that he could take the pollen from one, and here's another story, kind of leads up to this. In Madagascar, the French had been doing French vanilla, but they didn't know how to hand pollinate, and it took a little boy about 12 or 15 years old with a toothpick or a splinter of wood to lift up the enclosure and open it up and take out that and dip the pollen down onto the female so that it took. And that's how hand pollination, and I think that's more or less how he did the same thing, because it had narrow tubes. You have long and short stylus and pistils and stamens and all of that, so the compatibility of it. But he got down in there and actually pollinated the thing, and it got seeded. Boy, everybody after that said, "Wow, what did you do?" So he told them, and they said, "Wow, well, hey, how about working here?" And so they kept him on, and now he's done nothing but progress. So he's picked rare plants, of course. I mean, he's tried to run the gamut with everybody and learn it all over at Kew, but he's kind of picked the tropics and the tropicals. So he's done cuttings, and he's learned a lot about cuttings, and he's always had a heart felt for water lilies. Now, water lilies grow under the water, and then they come up on top. And the biggest thing about plants and water and stuff is they got to keep their CO2 up, because they got to get CO2. Some of them drown and don't get enough CO2. And then they have to have nitrogen. So there's very few that just get nitrogen out of the air. It's usually fixed in through roots. So he found out that if we put them right under the surface, surrounded it, and made special little environments, he could prompt seeds. And he got kind of antsy there because they'd only give him a few seeds in the world, and when he tried to propagate them, they'd either rot or never come up, or not germinate, or sometimes they'd germinate but they'd never flower. And so he just had to keep experimenting, but he knew he was on the right track. So I think it was in Australia where he found a species, and I guess what kind of freaked people out as he looked at it and said, "Well, that's a new species." I said, "How do you know?" Turned out he was right. So that's his credit. He's actually discovered a new species of water lilies, and there's quite a few water lily varieties in this world. So they come from little tiny things to, well, the largest Amazonia one, I think, is 12 feet across, the leaf. So he's been around, and he's really helped indigenous populations, and he's gone around the world and held seminars and walked with the people. He's listened to the old women that knew the herbs, and went with hunters in the jungle that showed him where the plants were hidden, the last one. And he'd beg him every time he's on a trip, "Look, I see a water lily. Can we stop?" And then, "We don't want to stop. We ain't got no time." But everywhere he's dragging cuttings in. He's bagging stuff up. Stuff had to be quarantined. They lost stuff through quarantine. He's even changed some of their plant shipping protocols and procedures. So this guy, he said, "I'm not the Messiah. They call me that." But he said, everybody can be a plant Messiah. And it's just gone on. He's got a few photos in here. Pictures of Kew Gardens. But look at the size of this one water lily pad. That's his son, Mateo, on it. So anyways, I just could go on, but read the book. We got this book at the Tucson, Pima County Public Library. Plant Messiah by Carlos Magdalena. Adventures in Search of the World's Rarest Species. Thank you, Carlos, and thank you all for watching KRAZ TV, and come back and watch all of our other book reviews at the Zero channel and the KRAZ TV.